The Writings of Abraham, chapter 31. Being led by the Ruach of Yahuwah, I found my father's house, and entering the gate, addressed the guard who was standing there, saying, Behold, I am Abram, son of Terah, who have spent these 40 years in the house of Shem. Take me now to my father. The guard stood as one dumbfounded, knowing not what to make of such a greeting, but at length called a boy whom he dispatched to locate my father. At length the lad returned, followed closely by my father, who was greatly surprised to see me, but who recognized me as his son by the inspiration of the Ruach of Yahuwah. By this time my arrival had caused great excitement throughout my father's household, which was very large, and my mother, having heard of my coming, hastened to the place where we were, weeping and rejoicing, for she had thought that I had wandered from the cave and been slain by wild beasts in the wilderness. At length she led me away to her chamber to talk with me, and I told her of all that had transpired with me since my leaving the cave, of my being led by the messenger to the city of Shalom, of being instructed under the direction of Shem, of the increase of my family, and of the mercies of the true Elohim, of the Shemayim exercised in my behalf. I talked to her of the futility of worshipping mighty ones of wood and stone made by men's hands, which have no power in them, and of the order of the ancients, which was preserved in the city of Shalom under Noah and Shem, which I had been sent to proclaim, in the great city of Ur. Chapter 32. My mother heard all my words and rejoiced in them, for she was one whose heart had been turned from the worship of dumb mighty ones to the worship of the unknown Elohim. Moreover, a small body of like believers, numbering about 100 souls, met secretly in my father's house to worship the unseen Elohim, and pray for further light concerning his ways, among whom were my brother Haran, with his son Lot, and his daughters Milcah and Sarai, and my brother Nahor. Now when my mother had heard my words, she bade me remain with her until evening, when the believers were to meet in her rooms. Wherefore that night I met with those who had rejected the idolatry of their fathers, and they were all of the seed of those who had come out from the city of Peleg. Wherefore I rehearsed unto them all the things I had told unto my mother, and they likewise rejoiced therein. But unto my father I spake not of these things at this time, for he was yet privy to Nimrod, and was steeped in his evil ways. Chapter 33. When I had dwelt in my father's house for 7 days, teaching the word of life unto the believers, I went unto my father as he sat in his outer court with his servants, attending to affairs of state. And when he would hear me, I said unto him, Father, where is the Elohim who created the Shemayim and earth, and all the hosts of them? My father Terah answered me and said, Behold, my son, those mighty ones who created all things are here with us in the house. My father, show them to me, I pray thee, I exclaimed. Whereupon my father Terah led me unto a chamber in the center of the house, wherein were 12 great mighty ones, and numerous smaller ones. And my father said unto me, Behold, my son, these 12 great ones are rulers among the mighty ones, and this largest one is ruler above all, and these others were their assistants in creating all things. And my father Terah bowed down and worshipped before his mighty ones, and then we departed from them. Chapter 34. When I departed from the presence of my father, I went unto my mother and said unto her, My mother, there is a great evil in this place, for my father keepeth a room full of mighty ones in the center of his house, which thing is contrary to the commandments of Elohim. Wherefore the wrath of Elohim shall not depart from this house, until they are destroyed. Let one of the young men be sent, therefore, to fetch a kid of the goats, and make thereof savory meat, for therewith shall I destroy these mighty ones, in which is neither life nor power. My mother therefore summoned one of the young men who was with her in the house, and sent him to fetch a kid of the goats, whereof she made savory meat. When it was prepared, I took the savory meat from her, and went unto the room where my father kept his mighty ones. And I prayed there unto Yahuwah my Elohim, saying, O Yahuwah Elohim of Shem and of Noah, Look upon me here in my weakness, and strengthen my arm, that I may destroy these false mighty ones, and give me the wisdom and strength to go through all that follows, and endure unto the end, in service unto my Elohim. When I had said these words, the Ruach of Yahuwah fell upon me, even the Ruach of Nabuah, and I was led to exclaim, Woe unto my father, and this wicked and corrupt people among whom he dwelleth, whose hearts are all inclined to vanity. For they serve mighty ones of wood and stone, the workmanship of their own hands, which neither eat nor smell, nor hear nor speak, for there is no power in them. And those who serve them shall likewise be powerless to escape, when the wrath of Elohim shall overtake them in a day they think not. Chapter 35. At this time the Ruach of Elohim fell upon me in mighty power to strengthen my arm, and picking up a hatchet which I had brought with me for that purpose, I destroyed all my father's mighty ones, both wood and stone, by the power of Elohim which was in me, except for the largest, in whose hand I placed the hatchet. Then, going to my father, I said unto him, My father, I have seen a wondrous thing, for my mother did make me savory meat this day, to offer before the mighty ones who created all things. And when I took the meat in unto them, they all reached forth their hands to partake thereof. When the one who is ruler above all saw their words, he being angered left the room and returned with the hatchet, wherewith he destroyed the other mighty ones, both wood and stone, and behold, he standeth there even now with the hatchet in his hand, and the savory meat before him. Chapter 36. Hearing these words, my father hastened unto the room of his mighty ones, and found it even as I had said. And his anger was kindled against me, and he said, This is an idle tale thou hast told me, and false. Why hast thou done this thing and lied unto me? These mighty ones have no life in them to do these things, for they are wood and stone, and behold, I myself have had them, made by the craftsman. Why hast thou then come into my house to destroy my mighty ones? Chapter 37. The Ruach of Yahuwah fell upon me at this time, that I should answer my father, and I said unto him, How is it thou servest these mighty ones of wood and stone, the handiwork of the craftsman, in which is neither life nor power to act? Can these which cannot deliver themselves from the hatchet deliver thee from the power of the enemy? Can they hear thy prayers when thou callest upon them from out of the midst of thine afflictions? Surely it is an evil thing that thou and thy people should serve these false mighty ones. For Yahuwah, he is the Elohim who created the Shemaim and earth, and all that in them is, and he hath commanded all men to worship him only, and to serve him all their days. Behold, your fathers in the days before the great flood worshipped false mighty ones after the same evil combination into which ye have entered, and because of their perversions they were destroyed. Will ye also go on in their wickedness to bring down the wrath of the Most High Elohim upon you, that ye too should be destroyed from under the Shemaim? Nay, my father, but repent of this evil and turn unto Yahuwah thy Elohim, and live. So saying, I took the hatchet from the hands of the remaining mighty ones, and smote him with it until it was destroyed. Chapter 38. My father, hearing my words and seeing what I had done, increased in anger against me, and hastened from his house unto the sovereign, for he had access to sovereign Nimrod both day and night. When he had entered the sovereign's presence, he bowed down before him, and he saith unto him, My sovereign, 50 years ago a man-child was born unto my wife Abdello, and when he was 10 years old, we went on the new moon to worship our ancestral mighty one, when my son wandered off into the desert and was lost. But he was found by the people of the desert and raised by them, and he hath recently found his way back into my house, and I have received him with honor as my son. Notwithstanding this, he did this day enter into the room of my mighty ones, and destroy them, and have spoken against our mighty ones, and against that ancient order which hath been handed down from our first father, whereunto we are called. Now therefore, my sovereign, send for him, that he may be judged according to our law, that this evil may be put away from among us. The sovereign thereupon sent 3 of his mighty men, who fetched me from my father's house and brought me before the sovereign. Chapter 39. When I appeared before Sovereign Nimrod, he was seated upon his throne in all his glory, but it was as darkness to me. At his right hand sat my father Terah, and around them sat the princes and noble ones of his realm. And the sovereign said unto me, What is this thing that thy father saith unto me, that thou did this day enter into the room of his mighty ones, and destroy them, and that thou hast spoken against our mighty ones, and against that ancient order which has been handed down from our first father, whereunto we are called? Chapter 40. I answered the sovereign, saying, Why dost thou go on in wickedness to worship these dumb mighty ones, in which there is no power even to save themselves? Not only this, but thou hast led others to worship them, and to enter into that order which is most abominable in the eyes of the Most High Elohim. For your father, from whence it cometh, is the devil, and it is full of lies and blasphemes, and all manner of evil, that men should lie and murder to get gain. Why wilt thou not serve the Most High Elohim, who created all things in the Shemayim and on the earth, who have created these and holdeth the power to sustain thy life or to destroy thee? O foolish, ignorant, wicked sovereign, woe shall be unto thee forever and ever, for thou art the son of perdition, for it is he who is thy father. Thou hast corrupted the earth with thy sins and with the sins of thy people who follow thee. It was for entering into this wicked combination to get gain that your ancestors were destroyed in the flood, when only 8 souls were saved. Will thou and thy people follow in their paths? Then the wrath of the Most High Elohim will descend upon thee to smite thee from before his face. Now put away these evil ways, and turn unto the Most High Elohim, and serve him, that there may be hope for thee. But behold, I see that thy heart is hardened in iniquity, that there is no repentance for thee. For the evil one has sealed those who are his. Wherefore all thy ways shall come to naught, and thou and thy people shall be destroyed from off the face of the earth. Chapter 41. Then I lifted up my hands to the Shemayim and prayed, saying, O Yahuwah Elohim, thou who sees all the ways of the wicked, and will bring every evil deed into judgment, look upon these evil ones and destroy them, that the whole earth be not corrupted by them and brought to destruction. Chapter 42. When the sovereign heard my words and the prayer which I uttered, he ordered me to be cast into the prison house until he had determined what to do with me. And after 10 days the sovereign gathered together all his counselors and rehearsed unto them all things concerning me. And when he had rehearsed all things unto them, he asked them, saying, What judgment shall such one receive, who hath reviled the sovereign, and our mighty ones, and our holy order? And they returned judgment unto him, saying, The man who revileth the sovereign should be hanged from a tree until he is dead. And the tree then fell to the ground, while all the people shall shout, Thus shall it befall him who revileth the sovereign. But this man hath not only reviled the sovereign, but also our mighty ones and our holy order. And according to our law, such one shall be cast into a furnace of fire, until he be consumed, that not remain of him in the earth. Let therefore the fire be increased in the sovereign's furnace, which is in Casdim, where the sovereign's bricks are made, and let this blasphemer be cast into the fire, that he be consumed. Chapter 43. The sovereign so commanded, and for 3 days and 3 nights was the fire preparing in Casdim, and at the end of that time I was brought forth from the prison to be cast therein. Nevertheless, while I was in the prison, Yahuwah sent his messengers to minister unto me, and to comfort me, and they said unto me, Fear not, Abram, for thy work is not yet finished, for thou shalt yet become the father of many nations, and thou shalt preach the Besorah in far places, even in the land of Mitzrayim shalt thou declare the mysteries of thy Elohim. And though they cast thee into the furnace, is not Yahuwah able to deliver thee therefrom? For through thy deliverance shall many be brought to bow down and worship Yahuwah thy Elohim, and forsake the evils of Nimrod. Chapter 44. Therefore I came forth from the prison confident in the power of my Elohim, and in his promise that I should be delivered from the fire. But as I came forth, the astrologers of the sovereign looked upon me, and by the power of Satan they recognized me, for they saw me clothed in light. And they cried out unto the sovereign, saying, O sovereign of all the earth, surely this is the man of whom we spake unto thee 50 years ago, that he should rise up to overthrow thy reign. Wherefore was he not slain? Chapter 45. Hearing these words, the sovereign was greatly troubled, and calling my father to Ra before him, he exclaimed, Is this then thy son, who was to have been slain? And what child then did I slay at his birth? Speak now the truth, and thou shalt go free. But if thou speakest not the truth, thou shalt die with thy son. And Nimrod caused my father to swear concerning the matter. Chapter 46. And my father answered the sovereign, saying, My sovereign, I am guilty. For because of my tender feelings toward my son, I did substitute for him the son of my concubine, who was born on the same night. The sovereign's wrath mounted, and in his anger he cried, Who advised thee to do this thing? Surely that man shall die. My father, being terrified at the sovereign's anger, said, It was my son Haran who so advised me. Now Haran had not advised my father of anything, but the ruach of Yahuwah had wrought upon my father, that he was loath to give me up to the sovereign. Nevertheless, Haran was privy to what my father had done, and Haran was one of the believers in the true Elohim of the Shemaim, but his heart was not firm, nor his faith sure. Wherefore Haran said in his heart, If Abram be delivered from the furnace, then shall I know that the Elohim of Abraham is indeed the true Elohim. Wherefore Haran wavered in his faith, and his confidence waxed not great in the Most High Elohim. But my confidence was secure, for I knew that it rested upon the rock of my deliverance, and that the word of Elohim faileth not. Chapter 47. Now when the sovereign heard the words of my father, he caused that Haran should also be taken with me, and leading us to the valley of Kasdim, they stripped us of all our clothing, and bound us with cords, and cast us into the fire. Now Haran, because his faith was not perfect in Yahuwah his Elohim, was consumed in the fire, that no trace of his body remained. But my faith remained firm in Yahuwah, and he sent his messengers to sustain me, and release me from my bonds. And I was 3 days and 3 nights in the furnace with the messengers, conversing with them, and being instructed by them. Chapter 48. After the 3rd day the sovereign sent his servants to govern the fire, that it might again be used for making brick. But when they came up to the furnace, behold, I was sitting there and conversing with the messengers, whom Elohim had sent. Therefore the servants of the sovereign, being greatly astonished, went and told him of this matter, but he would not believe them. However, when the men persisted in their tale, and showed great consternation, sovereign Nimrod himself came unto the furnace. But the messengers had departed, and I sat alone in the flames. When he saw me therein unconsumed, the sovereign cried out in alarm, O Abram, art thou a sorcerer greater than ours, that thou shalt live in the flames unconsumed? But I answered him, Not so, O sovereign, but Elohim of the Shemaim, who is the true Elohim, above all, have sent his messengers unto me, and have preserved me from this fire. Being much amazed, the sovereign exclaimed, Come forth then from the fire, for I see that no power of mine can harm thee. Chapter 49. Whereupon I ascended from the furnace, and stood before the sovereign and his counselors, who examined me closely. But behold, even my hair was not singed. Wherefore the sovereign caused garments from his own wardrobe to be brought, and I was clothed therein, and he caused me to be seated upon a throne at his right hand, where my father used to sit, and he said unto me, What of Haran thy brother, who was cast into the furnace with thee? Did the messengers carry him away to some far place that he might be saved? But I replied unto him, Nay, but the faith of my brother was not perfect in the Most High Elohim, wherefore he was consumed in the flames. Upon hearing this, the sovereign marveled and permitted me to speak in his court concerning the Most High Elohim, and the redemption which should be wrought in behalf of those who believed on his name. Nevertheless, the heart of the sovereign was not changed, for he gloried in power, and he thought to learn from my power by permitting me to speak. But about 300 men of those who sat in the sovereign's court were converted unto Yahuwah, and followed no more after the evil order of Nimrod, wherefore they were cast out of the sovereign's presence. But as for me, the sovereign gave me many gifts, and sent me away in shalom, and many were joined unto the believers in Yahuwah from that day. For having heard of my salvation from the fire, multitudes came to my father's house to hear of Elohim, who could do such mighty things, and many were converted unto the truth. Chapter 50. Now among the believers were Lot, the son of Haran, and Haran's daughters, Milcah and Sarai. Milcah was fair, but Sarai was beautiful above all women. Her face was as that of a messenger filled with light, her cheeks as 2 roses in full bloom, her hair as spun gold, which men treasure above all, her eyes as pools of blue reflecting the glory of Elohim's sky, her nose delicate and lovely, and her countenance truly was fair as the sun. Her breasts, like 2 mountains rising above the plain of Shinar, were fair to behold, and her complexion truly like the clouds in purity. Her arms were comely, her hands perfect and delightful to behold, always in the service of those in need, and quick to hasten to the service of Yahuwah her Elohim. Her palms were lovely, unmarred by her constant labor, her fingers long and slender. Her feet were comely and always set in the path of truth. Her thighs were well-rounded and soft, yet never failing to sustain her in her labor of love in behalf of the servants of Elohim. Truly no maiden was fairer than Sarai, the daughter of Haran. For her beauty was greater than all other women, and she excelled them all. But with her beauty was great wisdom, and perfect faith in Yahuwah, and constant service, in behalf of the saints. For her hands never ceased from Barakah, the people of Elohim. Wherefore my brother Nahor took Milcah, the daughter of Haran, to wife, but I, Abram, took Sarai at the direction of Yahuwah, and I found great joy in her.